Recruiters form impressions in 7 seconds if your CV even makes it past the automated filter. And bad formatting is an instant red flag for both. In this video, I'll show you the exact format that got me interviews and offers from top tech, consulting and finance firms in London, and how you can level up your CV in under 30 minutes. You'll come away with a clean, recruiter-friendly CV, perfect for students, even if you don't have the work experience just yet, so you can finally stand out from AI-generated slop and start landing interviews. My name is Mary. I'm a former strategy consultant and Big Four auditor. For the past 12 years, I've helped students and young professionals figure out how to stand out and get hired. On this channel, I teach what I wish I knew as an undergrad, how to land a top graduate job, no trial and error, no wasting time. Let's start with quickly checking where this recruiters take 7 seconds to judge your CV stat came from, because context means knowledge and knowledge means results. In 2018, Ladders, an American recruitment company, carried out a study. They showed recruiters a number of CVs and tracked the speed and eye movement of each candidate with an eye tracking software. What they found out is that the recruiters form an impression about the candidate within the 7.4 seconds. But what's even more interesting is that recruiters read in an E or an F-shaped pattern, essentially scanning the top of the page and then the left side of the page, meaning that all of the bullet points don't get as much attention as the headers and the names. So the format layout is very important. It also tells us that a cluttered layout of a CV, the one that doesn't really have any white space, signals hard work to a recruiter and triggers subconscious rejection vibes. And first impressions do matter because they inform the later judgment bias. Think about it this way. Say for your exam you have to write 2 essays. One is really good, top quality, and the other one is not so much. If an examiner reads the good essay first, they're likely to mark up your second essay because they would think that you just had a bad day. However, if they read the bad essay first, they would think that your second essay, which is better, is probably a fluke. So when we translate that into CV terms, if recruiter is presented with a clear, well-presented layout without reading any content, they're already forming an impression of you as a competent and prepared candidate. And it's easy to forget that recruiters are people just like us, and therefore they're subject to emotional responses. And so you need to think about what would make their life easier. They see hundreds of CVs a day, so your CV should be easy to read and it should feel familiar and predictable. A busy, messy, cluttered CV instantly screams friction. On the other hand, a clean, well-presented CV instantly triggers a positive response in their brain and they associate you with positive experiences. Recruiters don't just process information, they feel something when they're doing it, and your CV shapes that feeling. Many CV templates that you can find online, including those on University Career Services, might look tidy, but they don't really tick those boxes for recruiters. They have too much text, inconsistent formatting, and poor hierarchy. That's because they were designed for compliance and uniformity. And while that might have worked 10-15 years ago, the competition for graduate jobs today is insane. And in the age of AI, every little detail matters. So while some students might think that they're using a safe template, in reality, they might be just blending into the crowd. Let's have a look at an example together. On the right side, you will see a CV template that I took off one of the university career websites in the UK. On the left, you will see that I reworked that template. I didn't really change any content. I might have paraphrased a thing or two, but I kept it completely intact. And now take a step back and ask yourself, at a glance, which one is easier to read and process? Which one would you use? So as you can see on the left, I've created a bit more white space so you can separate the bullets from the headers. What it does, it ensures that the headers, i.e. your dates and your roles and the companies, are easier to read at a glance. And the bullets themselves is not something they will be checking in the first 7 seconds anyway. I also ensure that the majority of the document is taken by your experience and your transferable skill, as opposed to education and additional information. The flow that I recommend is stating your education, then providing your work experience, and then talking about additional information. Additional information is usually the highlights, so you would have any achievements, particular skills, and languages that you speak. But I hope you agree that within 7 seconds, you can easily identify what the person was studying, what sort of experience do they have, and what were their key achievements. And this is what I call passing the 7-second test. And I want to make this crystal clear, the original CV is very good. We're making an incremental change because this is how competitive the market is today. Every single thing matters. The new format isn't flashier, it's just clearer. It guides the recruiter's eyes exactly where you want them to go, to your education, your main skills, and your key achievements. All within 7 seconds. The goal isn't beauty, it's comprehension at speed, and that's what wins interviews. By the way, you can download my CV template and bullet point writing guide using the link in the description below, in case you want to follow along for the rest of the video. Before it even gets to a recruiter, your CV is likely to pass through something called the ATS, the Applicant Tracking System. Your CV formatting is as important for the robots as it is for the humans. So what does the ATS do? First of all, it scans and parses the information in your CV and puts it into a standardized table, so the information about you as a candidate is very easily searched and compared to other candidates. Another thing that some ATS might do is filter out candidates who do not pass the hard criteria, such as the right to work in the UK or having a particular grade or a degree. Some ATS also rank candidates based on how closely they match the requirements of the recruiter. The information can also be searchable, so the recruiters can search the database and find the person based on the keyword that they entered. And this is why aligning your CV content to a job description is crucial, but that's a story for another time. One more thing I implore you not to do is to paste the job description in white font somewhere in your CV, because what it looks like on the ATS side is just plain text, and so the recruiter will see exactly what you did and they will know what you were trying to do. It's not a good idea. But it's important to remember that ATS is not perfect like any software. How ATS is usually trained is based on the previous decision-making patterns of the recruiters in that company, and therefore that inadvertently introduces some bias in the decisions that it might make. ATS is also not very good at catching any nuance or creativity in your CV because it's just a machine. And if you made a typo, a human recruiter might forgive you and oversee that. ATS is not so forgiving. The easiest way to beat the robots is to make sure that your CV is easy to read, not too fancy, standard font, no colors, no tables, so it's easier for them to do their job of parsing and sorting and ranking. The good news is the ATS is never the decision maker. They just rank your profile compared to other candidates. However, that introduces another problem. If your profile is ranked too low, even though the ATS doesn't make the decision, the recruiter might never even see your profile before making the decision on who gets the job. So let's talk about the specifics of CV format. And a quick disclaimer, this is aimed at corporate roles, so creative CVs or academic CVs will look completely different. First and foremost, your CV should be one page. I have 15 years of corporate work experience and my CV is still one page. If I can do that, so can you. The standard sections that you should include in your CV are education, work experience, and additional information, where you will include things like key achievements, skills, and languages spoken. Remember to stick to a simple structure. I recommend having the bullet points start a bit to the right so you can easily see the headers of every section. A bonus element is that if you're using a familiar corporate style formatting, that gives a subconscious vibe to the recruiter that you speak their language. Make sure that your formatting is consistent, so the way you write dates is consistent across the whole document. You use one font and one font size. And that also includes spacing. So if your lines are 1.5 spacing between the sections, make sure that each section has exactly that same gap. And remember, having empty white space in CV is actually good. It gives the recruiter's eye a moment to rest and also make sure that some important information actually cleanly stands out. There are some things that you shouldn't be putting in your CV, such as PII, personal identifiable information. I'm talking about age, ethnicity, and nationality. You're not required to provide those. This group would also include things like marital status or home address. In most cases, you can just provide the name of the town or the postcode. And then there is a whole debate about the personal overview, that little paragraph that you put on top of your CV. I think it's up to you, it's a personal preference. I never included it in mine because you're basically regurgitating the information with generic, I'm a passionate, motivated team worker with experience in this and a degree in that. You're essentially repeating what you already say in your CV, and they're not going to take that at the face value without any proof. So I usually prefer to save space and just make sure that my bullet points are solid. You should be adapting the show, don't tell mentality when writing your CV. And everyone is a motivated, hardworking self-starter. But without any proof, trust me bro, is not gonna cut it. Another dinosaur that doesn't really have any place in the modern society and the modern CV is a sentence, reference available on request. Yeah, that's implied. And I don't want to get into content too much, but avoid repeating information multiple times in multiple places and make sure that you focus on discussing what you did. So when you're describing some activities you did as part of the team, you need to make sure that you're talking about what you did, not what the team did. Remove any reference to what the company is doing or the team is doing. This is your pitch deck. This is all about you. There will be another video in the future on how to write CV bullet points as a student. We've just fixed the way your CV looks, but formatting only gets you noticed. What gets you hired is what comes next. The one skill that turns interviews into offers. And it's not grades or experience or who you know. So check out this video next, where I break down the skill every successful grad hire has in common and how you can start building it right now. If this video helped you fix your CV, give it a like and drop a comment to let me know what you would like me to cover next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next step. It's free and it might just tip the scales in your favor. Keep going and I'll see you in the next one.